Good evening, everyone. How are we all? Bit of a last-minute schedule to the stream. I've spent most of the day thinking I wasn't going to get the time to stream, unfortunately, but it turns out I did. So that's cool. So today, let me get the stats up for you at the top. Today we're heading from Heathrow Airport over to Amsterdam. Quite keen to fly the A330, especially after yesterday morning. Didn't go so well for us, those of you that were with us. We started in Milan and made our way across to Birmingham here in the UK. And I don't know what it was, but the performance of the sim just went really downhill. And I've got my suspicions. It felt like as soon as we flew over Gatwick, it went wrong. Now, I don't know whether that's related to the Gatwick that I have installed from flightsim.to. I know that when I do fly out of Gatwick, I've had a lot of problems with FPS to the point where maybe I've just got to stop using it. So I have removed Gatwick from my community folder and hopefully we'll get a better result tonight. Obviously Amsterdam and Heathrow are just the airports that come with the game, so there's no special scenery going on tonight, so everything's as vanilla as it can be with the exception of the plane. So I'm hoping we get some decent performance. That's my hope anyway. I've been wanting to fly this A330 a lot lately. We're on the alpha build, so we can test out the VNAV capabilities. Still finding my way with that, because of course I've spent so long in the A320 fly-by-wire in the stable build, and you kind of get used to doing it all yourself with like descent calculators, working things out manually, which is a lot of fun. In some way, you could argue maybe VNAV takes something away from the experience, but I want to check it out. So we're going to head on over to Amsterdam. Not a particularly long flight. Looks a bit windy actually the nearer we get to Amsterdam, so we'll see how that goes for us. A little bit of a wind, sort of 10, 11, 12 knots. Going across the runway that we're probably going to be landing on. As for the route today, out of Heathrow, let's have a quick look. We're going to be taking off on 27 left, then kind of doing a wrapping around the north of London as we kind of turn right out of Heathrow. Then head on up over, that will be... That'll be Suffolk we're going over, right? My geography isn't great over in the east of England. Fairly certain we're going to head over to Suffolk, then across the sea, and then into Amsterdam, coming in on runway 18 right. That's what we've got at the moment. So let's jump in to the flight deck. And where's my mouse gone? There it is. Get things fired up a little bit. Obviously we're cold and dark. Everything's off. So let's jump up top and we'll get batteries on. Number 1. Number 2, and we will of course take the external power. Down into the EFB, let's go into import sim brief data. There we go. So it's pulled in the flight plan from sim brief that I made just a few moments ago. Heathrow, Amsterdam Schiphol, 27 left into 18 right. Red for 1A star. BPK7G SID. Now, let's get a jet bridge, get a fuel truck, start the baggage and start the catering. Let's find out how much fuel we're going to need. Basically nothing. Oh, whoops. That's better. Running a bit empty tonight. Still, lots of room for the passengers to stretch out. Looks like the jetway is not quite right. Seems to think the plane is here when of course it's here. We'll let it off. We'll let it off.
I'd like to take this time to welcome you aboard our flight. We're just wrapping up some paperwork up front here.
Hey, Matthew, how are you?
On our way. Flight attendants will be coming through the cabin shortly with a very important safety briefing.
I'm very well, thank you.
Give them your
Hope
full,
you're doing good.
attention as they review the safety operations of this Airbus aircraft. We do appreciate your business having you aboard this flight. If there's anything we do to make your flight any more enjoyable, please don't hesitate to ask. Welcome aboard.
There we go. We've got some lights on up here now. Okay, let's get fuel pumps on. Start the APU master. Yeah, I'm hoping the FPS behaves itself. So it didn't go well for us coming into Birmingham. It was literally, I was looking out the window and I remember saying, oh look, there's Gatwick down there. And then it's almost like from that point on, performance just tanked yesterday. To the point where coming into Birmingham we were down to single digit kind of FPS. So I put on the auto land because there's no way I could fly in those conditions. But then of course neither could the plane, because if the plane's only getting 7 frames worth of data going into its autopilot system, each frame is going to differ so much from the previous one that the plane's just like, what? I don't know. So it landed itself at about 600 feet per minute and nearly tipped over, which was interesting. APU start. These things are sent to try us. There we go. Right. Let's get APU bleed on. Arm the emergency lights. No smoking lights are on because it is not the early 90s. And nav and logo on. Oxygen crew supply. Let's do the navs. Curious to see how that poll goes. I ran the same poll yesterday and like we had a bit of a troublemaker who comes in the stream causing trouble and has about like 25, 30 plus accounts and must have just gone through all the accounts looking no which I thought was quite funny. How are we doing on the boarding side of things? Getting there. Getting there. Well, maybe that's a little bit bright. Yeah, that's better. Let's do some work down here. Okay, ATSU, AOC menu, init pres, init data request. Let's brighten up this screen as well. That's better. Let's go to our init page, init request. Flex temp minus 42, that would make sense because of our lighter load. Let's click through these, it's good. It's minus 42, wasn't it? Yes, it was. in the performance page, -42. We'll do a flaps 1 takeoff. Both in the case of Heathrow and Amsterdam, we're going to have... don't know where that just popped up. We're going to have plenty of room. Just going to say hi, I have to go because I'm very busy at the moment. No worries, Tom. Appreciate you stopping by, given that you're so busy. Nice to see you. Hope all is well. Alright, V1, 137. VR, 139. V2, 145. Now, what about our route? The audio is quite messed up. How so? Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to put in my AirPods and listen via my phone. And we'll see what happens. Sounding okay to me. Just listening in at the moment. Not entirely sure what to say. Good morning. For me, audio is fine. Okay. Yeah, it seemed okay for me too. Audio seemed good for me. Felix, appreciate you jumping in there and saying that. That helps a lot. Don't know then, Tom, is the honest answer. Where did I get the overlay from? So, I am using SimToolkit Pro, and they provide an overlay that you can chuck into OBS, which is my streaming software. As for the design and the layout, it's custom. I built it myself. It's like a HTML, CSS kind of thing. I used to be a web developer, so I was okay to do that. If you don't know HTML and CSS, obviously they give you like one out of the box, but it just looks a bit bland, and I thought I would get it more on brand. Let's put it that way. Oh, headphones are buggy. Cool. Well, I appreciate you pointing it out anyway, Tom, because like I never know when things are not right here. It's quite easy as a streamer just to like carry on regardless, even when things aren't good. So, even though it's a false alarm this time, I do appreciate you mentioning it, because I'd rather know than not know. Right, what are we doing out of Heathrow? Departure. 27 left. What was it? BPK7G, wasn't it? Yes, it was. Insert then into Amsterdam. ILS 18 right. It's red for 1A. Not home, on the road to have my laptop. The jack can be unplugged easily. Yeah, been there. Been there indeed. Oh, cheers, Felix. Appreciate you joining us. transferring your sim from the E drive to the C drive and it's not working. Are you on Steam or are you doing it through the Microsoft Game Pass store thing? So if it's the Microsoft Store / Game Pass, you have to do it via the settings panel, I believe. So like Windows settings, then apps, then I think you can move it from within there. It may fail though, of course. I think I had it fail on me once. So if we come in via Dibru, that work? Let's chuck ourselves into planner. We've got 2 minutes until the nav's up, so that's okay. Microsoft Store since I switched to PC only in like April. Go easy. Right, what's going on outside? Obviously the jetway is completely lost it. That's okay. Services, so let's get rid of baggage, catering. Everyone's loaded. Let me get rid of fuel truck. Why are the flaps extended to full? Oh, I've been in the settings, haven't I? I don't know, does anyone else have that? If you go into like the menu, like if I was to press escape now on the keyboard, and you come back into it, it just sets your flaps to maximum. And I think arms the speed brakes. Alright, cargo doors. Got those up. There we go. Very nice. Very nice. Local pressure is 1016. We can do that while we wait for nav. Oh, it's already done. Look at that. 1016. Let's pop this into plan. And we will step through the route. So out we go. Round to the right. Wrap our way around London. Discontinuity there. Let's click the clear button. Clear the discontinuity. And away we go. It's all looking good. Red first, so that's our start of our star into Amsterdam. Discontinuity here. Where's the next waypoint relative to... Oof, yeah, okay. Let's zoom ourselves back in. Sugal, Dibru, D-Cell. And there we go. Happy days. Nice little flight route there. You've never had that. I feel like I've had that for as long as I've ever used this sim. Maybe it's yeah, maybe it is a thing that I've got going on. So I'm guessing we're going to be held at like, what, 6,000 feet? Yeah. And up we go. So we're using the alpha build of this A330, and obviously you can see here, like, kind of got the VNav helping us out here, giving us all these predicted altitudes at various waypoints. Top of climb, flight level 290 today. Again, it's not far. Then top of descent. And these are all calculated values. Or this one here is at least the 161. You can kind of spot the ones that are the ones where it has to be at a certain altitude, because you've got here like FL290, nice round numbers, FL100, with a speed restriction. Like these ones are actually like constraints, whereas these ones are kind of predictions on where you're going to be in terms of altitude at this waypoint. Good luck, Phoenix. Phoenix? Felix. Got Phoenix on the brain. And there we have it. That'll do nicely. Very nicely indeed. So let's just get 6,000 in the window, because that's kind of our limit, isn't it, in the short term. Get ourselves ready for push. Let's get our beacon light on. Passenger seatbelt lights
Flight attendants, armed doors, and cross-check.
I feel like I'm forgetting something. I'm trying to do this without a checklist. Nice. Alright, so really we want to... Runway is to the left. We're going to be taken off out of here, so we want tail to our right, nose to the left, so we want to be facing that way. So let's use the tablet. Don't often use the tablet on the A320. It's really not a bad pushback system, all things considered. Pull the tug. Alright, parking brake off. Let's make a start going backwards, shall we? Nice to see the FPS is already tanking. Tell you what, after we finish pushing, we will maybe just ditch the settings down just a touch. Ooh. Yeah, hi Europe. It's not doing great, is it? Whoops. Just gonna finish this push. I'll tell you what, just break the immersion, albeit briefly. I think I've got it set to ultra, that may be a mistake. Graphics, what have I got? TAA. Vertical sync on, 50% monitor resolution, ultra. Let's just go to high end, see if that makes a difference. And the other thing, of course, is all the traffic that we've got going on. Let's see if that makes a difference. Let's take this down to like 10%. Seems a bit happier. let's leave it at that. Okay, let's continue our push. Badger, good evening. I saw you in AV Geeks, British AV Geeks stream earlier. I see you're a mod over there now. That's cool. Not gonna lie, I'm not in love with this pushback system. I think I'm gonna grab GSX over the weekend. It's been far too long of not using GSX. My goals for this summer to kind of move the channel forward. I feel like we've had a good run with what we've had so far. I haven't really had to put a lot of money into the channel. But now the channel's monetized and we're getting a little bit out of it. Not much. But, yeah, it's a bit of beer money, so to speak. I kind of think I should really just be reinvesting that money back into the channel, buying scenery, buying things like GSX, buying the PMDG 777 when it comes out, that kind of stuff. You know, it feels like that's the right kind of use for it. I mean, so far this channel has skated by without spending a penny, aside from the 737. I haven't bought a single payware airport. Which feels massively uncool. Given that more or less every streamer has you know, every stream it's like, we're going to this really cool new payware airport, and I'm over here just like chilling, doing everything on the basics. But now the channel's paying for itself to some extent. That kind of thing, it can hopefully reinvest a little bit. Make the streams better for you all. PMDG are making a 777. Well, in fact, they have already made a 777 for other sims like P3D, I believe. Right, let's do an engine start, shall we? At least we didn't have any barrel rolls on short final this time, Badger, eh? Like. Love the sound pack on this plane. Alright, let's arm the speed brakes. Should have locked the door. Predictive wind shear. Auto and standby. Flaps are set to 1. Auto brakes max. get our taxi light on. I think we're almost cooking with gas. Very good. So if I do a takeoff config, I just need to... There we go. Takeoff config normal. Excellent. So let's get the engine selector back into normal. Not sure what the flickering is on those screens. I think it might be an AAU2 thing. I'm not entirely sure. There's been lots of weirdness, like you get kind of white borders appearing around the PFD and the ND here. That's all been post AAU2, so... Right, let's taxi. See if we can get ourselves over to Amsterdam before the sun goes down. There we go. Yoke cam is enabled. Good evening all. Let's just check in on the frames. Good times. First order of business when I become a YouTube millionaire is to buy a new PC. And by millionaire I just mean some money at all that isn't pocket change. Here we go, so we're going to make a left here onto Delta, I believe. Just going to trundle along nice and gently because this thing does feel like a cargo ship, to be perfectly honest. An absolute cargo ship. You really don't have to give it much on these throttles either, just to kind of get those engine sounds to appear. Hoping the weather's going to be reasonably kind to us coming into Amsterdam. It's been a minute since I've flown this plane. Well, obviously we flew it yesterday, but it all went wrong coming into Birmingham, so yesterday doesn't count. Could do with a nice easy one into Amsterdam, but I've got a funny feeling we're not going to get it. Just an inkling. So, as of next week, you're probably going to be seeing a bit more of me this time of day. Schedules are changing this end. A lot of change over the summer for me personally, and that means I either have to stop doing this or do it at different times. So, of course, we're going to be doing it at different times. There's no way I'm stopping doing this. I enjoy it too much. it's like I would be flying anyway, so it's like, why not just hit go live at the same time? Because I feel like at the moment I kind of lean towards a lot more of the morning slots. Mostly because those are like the two main windows of time that I definitely have each week. The evenings I always try. I always say to myself I'll do Monday, Wednesday mornings, and then I'll do Tuesday and Thursday evenings. And one of the days, Tuesday or Thursday, something comes up, invariably. Then I get angry and I'm like, oh, damn it, like that's another Tuesday or another Thursday that I said I would stream and now I'm not going to stream. It's like always the way, that kind of thing, and I kick myself. But given that the Monday and the Wednesday morning slots are going to have to sort of dry up a little bit in the short term, I will have to make a lot more time in the evenings to do it, which is fine. It's no problem. It can be done. Let's join a little bit further back. Of course, we are sort of flying towards the sunset, aren't we? If we were flying, say, to Dublin, it'd be a bit more, might stand more of a chance of getting there before sundown, but of course that's going to work against us, isn't it? Going the other way. So yeah, jobs for this summer. Once the new schedule kicks in, which is basically going to be like next week or the week after. Get GSX paid for, downloaded, installed, sign up to Navigraph, and start learning the snot out of VATSIM. So I think it's time. Right, let's just hold short here. Been doing some observer flights off stream. Because I felt
please prepare for takeoff.
a little bit like I don't want to be a hindrance to those that are actually good at it and sort of be in the way. So I've just been sort of following along, trying to learn the ropes that way. I just pick a flight to follow, park up next to somebody and then follow them to their destination, listening out for their call sign and trying to follow instructions as if I were them. Let's head on out. And so far it's been very good. A couple of times where I got confused. I think the biggest thing is just understanding people's voices. And I don't know whether that's a me thing or whether that's like an everyone thing, but for example, I can't hear the words in songs like 90% of the time unless I actually know the words that are in the song, like the lyrics. If you were to just play me a track I'd never heard and then the singer does a load of singing and said, right, what did they say? Like, I don't know. I can tell you. All I heard was a tune. So I feel like watching other people's streams that are on VATSIM, sort of listening to the controllers, I really have to listen hard to make sure I actually hear what they're saying. Alrighty. It is time to go, I believe. Hold it on the brakes. 40% N1. default toga. Oh, that really does sound like an A330 as well. Really reminds me of when we went on one to New York. It's that sound you get. Okay, let's go. Up, up and away. Positive rate. Gear up. Get that autopilot on just for a minute so I can dive up here and make things a bit brighter. There we go. Levers back into climb. Take off the autopilot. I'd quite like to do this bit myself. Only put the autopilot on briefly so I could look up a little bit and do some switches. Slightly overspeeding, let's pitch up. There we go, right, let's turn ourselves around. I don't know whether it's this aircraft or my system, but the frames do not seem great. Oh, the APU, of course. Of course, I know I've got something. Thank you. Yeah, I'll probably go monthly badger, I think, to start with. Just for cash flow purposes. Am I right in thinking you can get an iPad app to go with it? Because I've got an old iPad, an old one. I'm thinking I could prop it up. If I put the cam on, I could prop it up here, sort of there, on my yoke, and I can almost have it in front of me the whole time. Not going bad, Felix. Sorry to hear about the PC issues. I did, like an absolute muppet, forget to turn off the APU before takeoff. Luckily, the Jord reminded me of that. Appreciated. Right, how are we doing up here? So then we can go up to flight level 290. So if we do managed, will the plane do it itself? Obviously it's not time yet. We've got this next waypoint to get through, 16 miles. When the time is right, I'm hoping the plane, because of course we have VNAV on. Right, what's the frame? What are the frames doing? $30, not bad, not bad. Basically, if I see 30, I'm happy because I limit the frames to 30. So if I see 30, I'm completely happy. It's when it just, if I see like even like a 28 or a 27, I'm like, oh no, what's going on? Why can't it even do 30? Got Estonia packs on the 737 yesterday, ended up in the cabin altitude. Ah, that'd be alright. People are more resilient than we give them credit for. Oh, you know Mackham. Sweet. I didn't realise that. We like Mackham around here. Good guy. You can have Navigraph on your iPad and on your smartphone. So, Badger, am I right in thinking that it will link to the sim? So imagine if I had like, I don't know, a map of Heathrow ground up, so I was taxiing around. Will it show my position in the sim on the iPad? Or am I imagining features that I would like to exist that actually don't exist? Known Mackham for years. Awesome. You're not the person who made the livery for him by chance, are you? Yes, you are. Yeah, you made him the livery. Nice. I did wonder. Cool. Very nice job, by the way. He was jealous of mine. That's funny. Did I capitalise on any GPU sales? I didn't know there was any sales particularly. I mean, I suppose Prime Day's just been and gone, hasn't it? There we go. Now we can start climbing. But no, Fishgun, still on the old 3070. I did briefly own a 4070. I thought that was going to be like, you know, the best thing ever. I really did. And it's nothing but trouble. Now, if I were to buy it again, it'd probably be different. Because at the time that I bought it, I was having really bad performance in the sim, crashes to the desktop. It was taken out my OBS as well, so like I'd be live and it would just completely crash on me. And then it turned out it was all due to a bad driver from Nvidia. They said if you're on the latest driver, which of course I was, because I just bought a new card, so you update your drivers. They're like, roll back your drivers to this old version. And I was like, okay, cool, yeah, I'll do that. But of course I couldn't, because the 4070 was literally like, I don't know, 2 weeks old. And the driver version it wanted me to roll back to was like 2 months old. So that 2-month-old driver had not been coded to accommodate the 4070. So you try to install the old driver with a 4070 in the system, and it just shouts at you, and it's like, no, unsupported hardware, no driver install for you. So I was kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. I was like, what do I do? I've spent like 600 quid nearly on this GPU, and I just have to sit around and wait for Nvidia to hopefully maybe release a driver that works on it. In the end I was like, no, it's going back. Like, I kind of got a YouTube channel to run here, while the gamer in me really wanted it. You know, my inner COD bro was like, yeah, keep the 4070. I was like, no, got to put my business head on and get rid of it. Maybe if I was to buy it again, maybe I would stretch to the 4070. But I think the lesson that I learned briefly with the 4070, I mean, I had it for like 5 days and it went straight back. Luckily I didn't sell my 3070 in the meantime. It came close, but someone bailed on me. So I just put the 3070 back in and away we went. But what I actually came to realise was just how CPU limited I am in a lot of games at the moment. So I play quite a bit of Warzone, and I chucked in the 4070, which they say is like a 3080/3080 Ti. So I was like, right, here we go. This is going to be it. And I was like, why are my frames the same as they were on the 3070? And of course, you throw all the telemetry up, and then it's like, oh, CPU limited. So then it's like, what do I do? Do I buy a new CPU as well, or do I just send the thing back and get the money back in my account and regroup and make a new plan? Which is kind of what I did. Which you could argue is chickening out a little bit, but there we go. We're going to have fun landing in EHAM with those FPS. Yeah. I don't know if you saw yesterday's stream. I mean, it's still up. Maybe after this, go back and watch. Took off from Milan in this. Everything was going great. All the way over kind of Switzerland, France. Got over to Gatwick. I could see it. I was kind of in this view. I was in this view and I sort of went, oh look, Gatwick's just down there, and sort of pointed at it with the mouse. And from almost that moment on, everything just went south. Really did. Everything just went wrong. To the point where we were landing into Birmingham with like 7 or 8 FPS. I don't know what happened. I did wonder if it was Gatwick, because I'm using the flightsim.to version of Gatwick. And I've always had performance issues with that. So I just deleted it from my community folder today, so we'll see if that makes any difference whatsoever. It may not. But yeah, I think with this game, like, where are we? Display FPS. So we're at 30 frames a second. Look at my GPU down here, look. GPU is just chilling, really. But then look at the main thread. That's yellow, sometimes going into the red. That is 100% the limiting factor. It even says it here, limited by main thread. Yeah, so we actually, Felix, we did that this evening. So we've gone from ultra to high, which is dropped it from like 200 to 100. Interestingly, speaking to someone about the object level of detail, and they were saying that actually by having a higher object level of detail, it actually increases like the radius around you from which things get loaded in. So having an object level of detail of 200 might actually allow you to have smoother landings than if you'd set it to 100. Because of course all the objects and things at the airport get loaded in when you're further away from the airport. So instead of it all being loaded in while you're on final / short final, it was loaded in miles back. Therefore you're not having your PC going into overdrive in quite a crucial stage of the flight. I got a few airports downloaded, so it's interesting. I haven't paid for a single airport on this game. I've had a YouTube channel now for like 18 months. I've been live streaming now for almost exactly a year, and I've gotten by without spending a penny on that stuff. Got the channel monetized a couple of months ago, so yeah, I feel like it's time to start throwing stuff back into the channel a little bit. But yeah, Gatwick is the only one from flightsim.to, and I've removed that. So at the moment, currently at 0 airports in my community folder. How do I get the performance menu up? So you have to go into the menus, which I won't do right now, obviously, because we're in flight, and enable developer mode. I think by default this bar appears all the time, but you can... How do you do it? Auto hide menu bar. There it is. So I'm in developer mode constantly, and the bar just hides if I'm not got my mouse over the top of the screen. Take your mouse to the top, debug, display FPS. And there we go. And we are limited by the main thread, which is my CPU, or the main thread on my CPU. Oh no, Felix.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, for flight deck.
That's a big old download, isn't it?
Just reach our cruise altitude for the flight, and begin to settle in. I do want to remind you to please keep your seatbelt belts clear from the aisle as the flight attendant.
Alright, top of descent is coming up. Let's get our information loaded for Amsterdam. So local pressure 1017, 240 and 9. One 1017, 240 and 9. What's the temperature? 19. I always do this, I just put 200 in the radio. Back into F-plan. Alright, top of descent coming up. So in theory I could like drop this all the way down to like 3,000 feet, right, and put it into managed. And down we go.
From the flight deck, ladies and gentlemen, as you may have noticed, we have begun our initial descent down to our destination. Now would be a good time to wrap up any business.
I can't really be pinching people's paid stuff, Jordan, unfortunately.
Once you return to your seats, we ask that you remain seated until your aircraft arrives safely at the gate. Flight attendants, please prepare the cabin for arrival.
I'll have to do it by the book and get my wallet out. Right, what is the route down? So it thinks we're going to be at about 25,000 feet at Redfur. Sugal, 10,000 feet. Need to be at 250 knots by then, but we've got 71 71 miles in fact until we're at that point. That should be fine. So we're well over the sea, aren't we? We're not going to see any land. Don't know why, but I can't sort of transfer the game from drive to drive. Or even after a restart, Felix. Looks like we're on profile. That little squiggle, I think. That little kind of like up and down blue mark. Fairly certain. That is when the aircraft is expected to get onto its descent profile, I think. So I guess this here means this is like the range that we're allowed to be within. Looks like the plane would like to be a touch lower on speed. Still not far to go now. Tried to restart my PC and the program multiple times, nothing's worked. Oof. Yeah, I can see why you're leaning towards a reinstall then. $1,950, so let's just put 2,000 up here. There we go. One person's gone for the no you suck option on the poll. That's funny. Love to see it. Could you not copy and paste the files out of your community folder then? I guess if some of the files have been put there by an installer, that might cause an issue, but surely some of it you could. Bedstrout, sorry I missed your message up the top there. I've just seen it. I'm not sure if you're even still here. But hello, if you are still here. Sorry I missed you. Got lost in the scroll, I think, there. A lovely scenario of the day, descending into Marseille and the hydraulics went for your landing gear. Had to use gravity extension. Oh, are you in the Phoenix then, doing failures? It won't let you copy the community folder. Is that because it thinks it's moved? As part of your moving it around, maybe? I wonder if you enable full failures on the Phoenix or any other aircraft, are you likely to get a failure? Something about failures that I'm just not sure I like the idea of. Just because it just seems a bit random. Like, if there was an element to the game where you had to keep your aircraft serviced and things like that, and then a failure occurred due to lack of servicing or lack of maintenance, you could kind of understand it. But just for like it to be like, oh, and today this is going to fail at this random point in time just because random number generation decided that. I don't know quite how I feel about failures. I can see why they add to the fun, in that it keeps you on your toes and you can't just forget about the sim while it's in cruise, because, you know, something could happen at any point. So in terms of keeping you engaged, I can see why that might be a thing. Into the clouds we go. So what aircraft was that you had the failure in? GFO sounds cool. I like the idea of that. Global Flight Operations, is that what it stands for? Basically, the idea is that rather than just like you being able to spawn at any airport with any plane, it's like, as a fleet owner, you might say have 1 or 2 737s, and they are wherever you left them last. You should be able to post a link, Badger, unless YouTube's being funny about it. I did have a load of spammers. Well, one spammer and a load of other spammers. One spammer in particular. I think you probably know who it is. So I did put YouTube into like strict mode or something. Try it, see if it works. Alright, let's get some lights on. Yeah, I like the idea of planes being where you left them, and the idea of almost like plane ownership. So if you leave a 737 in Dublin, that's where you're starting next time. And obviously, like you're saying there, Felix, it kind of retains a lot of the state of the plane. I didn't realise the PNDG 737 did that by default. Yeah, hopefully, Felix. Yeah, GSX. I want to get GSX. I feel like I need to get GSX, Navigraph, and maybe start building out my kind of UK airports a little bit. Just start fleshing those out a little bit. Oh, you only got the 737 2 days ago. Right, I mean, I've had it for like a year and I've never noticed that with it. Although it could be I'm just not... Maybe it's something in the Operations Centre app that you need to do. Don't know, is the honest answer. Newcastle's the best airport. I do like Newcastle. Newcastle reminds me quite a lot of Bristol. I sort of class those two as almost similar animals in my mind, you know? Small but perfectly formed. Right, so we are coming up on transition. Should be right about now. What was it, 1017? Yes, it was. Wind is still 240 and 9. Okay, how you doing? No, Felix, not on BatSim at this time. I would like to get on there though during the summer. That's kind of my ambition. I've been doing some observer flights, so I connect in observer mode, park up next to somebody at an airport, look at where they're flying, and essentially just copy them. Newcastle beats Bristol. Flew out of Bristol once on an EasyJet flight down to Spain, and I got chatting to the captain. He says Newcastle's his base, lives up in Newcastle, and his day is he flies an early flight from Bristol down, not from Bristol, from Newcastle down to Bristol. Basically he said, I'm flying the business lot down for the start of business. I'll then fly you lot down to Alicante for your holiday, pick up a load of people and bring them back from their holiday back to Bristol. Then I take the business lot, after they finish work, back home to Newcastle, and that was his day. Quite a cool little day, I thought, as days go. Right, let's get the old landing system on the go, shall we? It'll always be the best airport. Is that so long as you're there, or will it always be the best airport regardless? Okay, let's just get a little bit of speed brakes out. I feel like we need a bit of help. This aircraft does feel a touch slippery today.
2,500.
Oof, that is a bit of a wind. You're so good at landings. Oh, blimey, don't say that now. You'll jinx it. You got a fair bit of wind. Alright, landing gear. Whoops. Let's enter
Flight attendants, please prepare for landing.
approach mode. There we go. Go auto brakes medium. Gear is down. Approach mode armed. Let's keep those flaps coming down. Just while you're there. I respect the honesty. Here we go then. Slowing ourselves down. That is quite a crab it's got us in though, isn't it? Do you get any A330s that go out of Newcastle, or is it not deemed a big enough airport? Alright, let's just go through our checklist again. So we've got gear down, flaps full, speed brakes, armed, the lights are on, let's do runway turn off, it's dark. Approach mode on, we're about to intercept the glide slope, and I'm praying that that wind goes away by the time we get there. Right. Get the old yoke cam on, shall we? Or stick cam, as it is today. This is going to be a tricky one, I fancy. That is not an insignificant wind. Right, I'm probably going to have to ignore chat for a moment. I've got a bit of extra time tonight, so if we need to go around, we'll go around. Let's not make a mess of things. Let's try and do a good job if we can. Right, my aircraft. For better or worse.
One 1,000.
Here we go then. Need to be a little bit more over to the right, I think. Starting to drift off. Yeah, we're drifting over to the left just a touch. We can re-establish that crab. That's mostly okay, though it could be better.
500. 400. 300.
Come on, you can do this. Maybe.
200. 100.
There goes the FPS. Love to see it.
50. 40. 30. 20. Retard. 10. 5.
Reversers. I will take that all day long, considering the FPS tanked on us there on the last little minute. And the wind, I will gladly accept that as a landing. I'm actually quite pleased with that. I'm just a bit annoyed at my PC for tanking on the old FPS. Welcome to Amsterdam. Let's take this high-speed exit a minute. And then we can start our 3-hour taxi to the terminal. Give us a second, Felix, and I will check for you. Let's get landing lights off, taxi on. Start APU master. There we go. Felix, you were pretty close. Sim Toolkit Pro was reporting 262. So I will definitely take that. Shaking my fist somewhat at my PC. Really could have done without those drop frames there on the last 50 feet. These things are sent to try us. Cheers, Jord. Nice seeing you in the stream. And yeah, very much up for a flight with you and Mr. Mackham. This is such a long taxi from 18 right. Have a little bit of music for it, shall we? Because it's going to be a long old road. What's the situation, Felix? You going to reinstall? Flaps up. Yeah, no worries, George. Take it easy. Thanks for dropping by. .21 feet per minute. Damn, that's like legendary status, that, isn't it? Although I guess there's a point that you sort of want that contact because the plane needs to know that it's landed to deploy spoilers and such. Let's whiz around. Find us somewhere to park up. May have been because of replays, yeah, maybe. I've found, especially with the A330-900neo, that it can vary wildly if you just run the same replay back and forward, back and forward. What is going on here? Isn't this a handcrafted airport? Clearly whoever made it never landed into runway 18 right. Yes, Felix, we do have a Discord. It's a members-only Discord at this time, though. It's a perk of becoming a member, joining the channel via YouTube, becoming a channel member. I do occasionally share the link around. If there are a lot of old-time regulars in the chat that haven't joined up, so if you're unable to become a member, I understand. Maybe if you keep coming by, you'll come by the link sooner or later. Here we go. There's the terminal. You can almost spend longer doing this than you can in the air. You really can. No, like I say, Felix, that's fine. Totally understand. Like I say, I'm not trying to twist anyone's arm into becoming a member. Keep popping by the streams, though. And you might just find I chucked a link into the chat. Like I say, there's a lot of people that supported me for a long time, since the beginning of this channel, really. And if I kind of see them around, I'll chuck a link into the chat and just be like, come on in. I mean, it's mostly to act as a deterrent to stop just spammers coming in left and right, you know. So I'm not overly precious about keeping the link a secret. pretty chill here. Yeah, that's the vibe. That's the vibe I'm going for. Life is stressful enough as it is, so this is hopefully a place where people can come and chill out and meet some like-minded people, learn a bit more about these aircraft, not necessarily from me, but from each other. Again, I've said from the start of this channel, this has never been a place for me to lecture you all on how to be a flight simmer, or well, actually you on every single point. I'm very much learning in public, so I'm completely open about the fact I don't know everything, and happy to make all my mistakes in public. Well, we made it just before the sunset. Only just. Let's find a way in here. Why my mouse has just appeared again. It keeps doing that recently. I think it's ever since that AAU2 update. I'm sure it is. Alright, here looks good. If we get in there. Yeah, we can. All day long. Should have put the old head tracking on, shouldn't I? There we have it. We have arrived. Welcome to Amsterdam. And thank you all for joining. Felix, nice to have you in the chat for the first time. I hope you've enjoyed the stream. And hopefully we'll see you again very, very soon. Like I said, I'm not entirely sure what the next few days are going to look like. Possible I might be able to get on one of the days during the weekend and do something. But next week, my normal schedule, for those that have been following my normal schedule, is just out of the water. Out of the water. Completely out of the water. So, probably a lot more of the evening kind of streams, I would imagine. And, yeah, we'll just sort of have to deal with that. It's a little bit unfortunate next week that schedule kind of dictates that, but that's okay. That's okay. We will we'll deal with it. And then from September it's going to be a slightly different schedule anyway, so we'll get through the summer and then we'll start our new schedule from September. But until then, probably a lot more evening streams, at least in the short term. So there we have it. I think I'm going to leave it there for tonight, folks. Thank you all very much indeed for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure. Really pleased with that landing. Slightly cross at my PC for dropping frames on me on the last 50 feet there, but these things can't be helped. It happens, unfortunately. But there we have it. Thank you, Badger. Thank you for coming along. I appreciate it. I really do. I hope you know that. And short and sweet tonight. I was thinking perhaps we'd do a return leg, but time's getting on, and got a few more other things I need to get done before tomorrow morning, unfortunately. But there we have it. Thank you all so much indeed, and take the very best care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.